So what I want to do right now is I want to bring a very special person up to the front. He is an educator of many in the crypto space. I've learned a lot from him over the past 7-8 months, listening to his crypto talks. You might have seen some of them playing up here. But I'm going to take the moment right now to bring Mr. Brandon Ivey up to the front of the room. Right? This is that time if you want to know anything about cryptocurrency, or you think that you may need to know more, the smart people are going to take notes. That's all I'm going to say.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
I want to first of all say that this is a celebration. This is a celebration of what we're here for, what Dr. King put together. And we are going to help him move his company into what we call the new digital economy, the future. But I also want to thank him because it's been 2 years since I've been out of California. This has been my first trip. And this is healing for me. So I want to thank all of you guys that have come out here. Thank Dr. King for putting this on, and give yourselves a round of applause for being in the room tonight. I got to give a shout out to some of our guests that have also come out of town, like my cousin Marnita, her mother Janelle from Colorado. We've got Travis Lofties, Treva Burns. We've got Bianca and Tiffany. I know Sadiqi's here. And I might have missed somebody, forgive me, but thank you guys for being here. So, Iggy asked this question: how many of you guys have heard of Bitcoin before? Raise your hand. Wow, I asked that same question 2 years ago, and less than half of you guys would have raised your hand. How many of you have bought Bitcoin and own some Bitcoin right now? Be honest. All right. Pretty good, pretty good. This is an educated group, but let me ask a different question. How many of you guys have heard of this? Raise your hand. The entire room. What is this? Well, we're going to get there. This is what we think is money, correct? There's been money since the beginning of time. But has this piece of paper been here since the beginning of time?
No.
Have we been doing transactions in commerce since the beginning of time?
Yes.
So what that tells you is that money has changed over time, because this is not money. This is a piece of paper. This is a piece of paper. And this piece of paper is actually worthless, because money is energy. It's energy. And energy cannot be destroyed. It just moves and changes form. It's worth nothing. See, when I came into cryptocurrency and Bitcoin, I learned two things that changed my life. The first is that the technology that Bitcoin is built upon is called cryptocurrency, blockchain technology. Anybody heard of blockchain technology? Raise your hand. Blockchain technology is going to disrupt every single industry on the planet today. Whether you know it or not, believe it or not, like it or not, trust it or not, your opinion is irrelevant. It's going to happen. The second thing really shook me to my core and changed the course of my professional career. And that is, cryptocurrency represents the greatest economic shift in wealth in the history of mankind for the most amount of people. Now that last part is key. The most amount of people. Why? Because there have been other shifts in history before. There's been the third industrial revolution. There's been the gold rush. But how many of us or your ancestors had an opportunity to participate in those opportunities in history? Not many, because you wouldn't be here today if they did. Because you weren't born in the right place, or speak the right language, or have the right skin color. See, why it is for the most people today is because all you need is a cell phone right there, access to the internet, and a willingness to learn. There's no barrier in place. There's no glass ceiling. There's no racism, nepotism, sexism. Doesn't matter man, woman, or child. Doesn't matter your education. It doesn't matter whether you were born, how smart you are. Are you willing to learn? That's the key. How many of you guys actually felt and heard what I just said, or are you still looking at the $100 I dropped on the ground?
I was gonna go get that.
Why? Because this is what you think money is. And I'm telling you, this is not the future of money anymore. See, when I said that blockchain technology is going to disrupt every single industry, let me say something that maybe you can understand, because we are all old enough, maybe some of us, to know what life was like before the internet. I just celebrated my 45th birthday. I know what life was like before the internet, before cell phones, before this digital economy that we're in today. And how many of you took advantage of when the internet came along in the 90s? Did we believe it? Did we all just jump and rush into it? People made fun of it. What do you mean email? What is that? I remember writing letters. My grandmother just passed away. And when my mom was cleaning out her things, found a letter I wrote from her my freshman year at Morehouse College. And I was amazed because I wrote a letter. Conversations back then took 2 weeks. But things have changed today. How many of you guys have heard of Uber? When I was back in school in college and I got off an airplane, you take a taxi around, right? I went to George W. Bush Airport, there were no taxis. Uber and Lyft. Transportation company that owns no cars. And guys, I'm about to get into a zone, so let me know the time. Now stop, right? What about Airbnb? A hotel chain that owns no property. The world is becoming decentralized. Decentralized. Meaning that it is controlled and accessed by the many instead of the few. Cryptocurrency was born out of what happened in the 2008 financial revolution. The financial collapse. The greatest recession next to the Great Depression. And we got fed up because we lost faith in the government and the powers that be that's supposed to guard our financial interest and let us down. But who got bailed out? Did we get bailed out? Banks and businesses that were too big to fail got bailed out with our taxpayer money. But we never recovered from that. A lot of people lost their homes, their jobs, their mortgages. So out of that came this thing called crypto, where now we can control our own money. We can control our own finances. And we don't have to worry about what the bank is going to do, what the government is going to do, what some foreign national is going to do that's going to impact our markets and our economy. We have full control. The only thing we don't have right now is full adoption, and that starts to come over time. Bitcoin is the greatest performing asset of the past decade, period, by far. Nothing comes close. Your opinion is irrelevant. The only second thing is Berkshire Hathaway. You know who owns that? It's Warren Buffett. Warren Buffett says that Bitcoin is rat poison squared. That is nothing. Even Donald Trump said that. It's nothing. Yet he invested $250 million in fintech technology, which includes Bitcoin. See, the millionaires and billionaires love to keep the status quo because they're at the top. But they're also not stupid. And they can recognize the changing of the times and the trends, and they will position themselves in it while telling the rest of you not to do it.
That's right.
To be the first in line. And if I have time, I was on a radio show with Dr. King, and I said that I would talk about the river of money. So if we have time, we're going to talk about that in a second. But I want to prove a point right here. Back to that whole blockchain technology, and if you're still sitting there saying, I don't get or understand or care what he says because cash is still king, a day's going to come, we're going to be driving down the street, and you're going to see Bitcoin ATM machines all over the place. This happened to my father. My father didn't really believe in this whole Bitcoin and stuff. He thought I was kind of crazy. Then he started getting excited when he went to the grocery store and saw a Bitcoin ATM machine. And my mom turns on the TV and now there's Bitcoin grayscale commercials. And they're talking about it in movies and TV shows. And over the years and years, it's becoming now mainstream. Where the country of El Salvador is now using it as legal tender next to the US dollar. Where banks are now going to be tokenizing themselves. Where the dollar in your hand, the federal government is already creating a digitized token like it's already happened in China. Whether you like it or not, you're going to go into Starbucks and start seeing you can pay for your cup of coffee with Bitcoin or crypto. And here's the worst. This is what's going to really be a punch in the gut if you decide still not to get involved. You're going to go to your job, and your boss is going to say, we need your crypto wallet because we're now paying you in crypto because it saves us on fees. And then they're going to say, if you want a job or a promotion, you're going to need to have blockchain technology experience. And when you go for a job, on the application, they say, what is your skills experience? What do they tell you now? How many words can you type a minute? What do you know Microsoft Word, Excel, and these type of things? What do you know about blockchain? Do you know about tokenization? And speaking of tokenization, we go back to the 90s, when people didn't want to know about the internet. But the biggest companies in the world today are here because they took advantage of the internet. In fact, there's not a business in the world right now that does not have a social media presence. Hell, I don't even have to talk about that. There's not a person in here that doesn't have a social media presence. How many of you right now have one account on something on the internet? Raise your hand. Every single one of you. That wasn't the case 25 years ago. Blockchain technology is Internet 2.0. It is bigger. It is the greatest invention that mankind has had next to the introduction of agriculture, and most people don't even know it. The richest man in the world right now came of the internet generation, and that's nothing compared to what the blockchain is going to be today. You're not going to be able to get a job in the future if you don't have knowledge of this. And you're still here early enough to decide where you're going to fit in on this new revolution. How you're going to make your mark. It's going to happen whether you like it or not. You're going to take advantage of it, or you're going to become a victim of it, like Blockbuster Video. You guys see those around right now? Hey, I'm old enough to remember. Friday night, Mom picks us up from school. We go to Blockbuster. She called in early. We say, Mom, did you call and reserve the tape? Because how many times we go walking down the aisles, our favorite videos ran out, gone. Not anymore. We got streaming video. You can watch anything, whatever you want now. That was unheard of 20, 30 years ago. Today, it's second nature. I mean, my own son, my 14-year-old son, didn't even know what a phone jack on the wall was. He asked me, Daddy, what's that? Really? Am I that old? No, technology is rapidly changing, and if we don't change with it, we're going to be run over by it. Which brings us to why we're here today in this celebration. See, businesses, just like in the 90s, that took advantage of the internet, are now going to take advantage of blockchain technology, and they're going to get themselves involved. And Dr. King is a man of visionary. One of the first to bring medicine to the blockchain, because he knows that this is something that's going to happen anyway. Why not take my business that's already successful? You understand? It is not this tokenization that's going to make his business a success. It's his business that's going to make the tokenization a success. So give her another round of applause for that. So what did he do? He said, all right, if we're going into the new economy, the new digital economy, I need to take my vision, my business, my product into the future. Being able to now expand it around the world. Building more warehouses and shipping centers. Getting access to more people. Digitizing it. I wish I had more time. I could talk about this all weekend. So I'm trying to just paint a little picture, plant that seed, so that you'll say, we time, we up, we up. What time do we got? Because I know what we've got to do next. Somebody give me the time. 36? Break it up. All right. Until next time, everybody.
As if you got it.